Okay, I have started the recording. Okay, Vanya, so today we have to start from dichotomous keys. Do you know what they are?
Yes, ma'am, I have like a slight idea about them.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to start from the beginning, that is dichotomous keys. So they are actually used to identify organisms based on a series of questions about their features. And it is used to simplify the process of identification. And we will explain this how with the help of an example, right? Here we know that these keys are made up of contrasting pairs. So you can see that here we have three keys for this example, right? This is key one, key two, and key three. In every key, you have one contrasting pair, right? You have two statements, right? And in this dichotomous keys, what we have to do, we have to start from a general characteristic and then we have to move towards the specific characteristic, right? For in case of this example, now you have got four images. You can see above, that is A, B, C, and D, and then you have three keys that are given below. That is one, two, and three. So first thing is the first. Now we have to move from or move for this first image, that is image A. I want to identify the species of this bird, right? First, I have to see that does it has yellow feathers. If it has yellow feather, then it is weaver, right? But in this case, let me zoom it. Okay, in this case, you know that it doesn't have a yellow feather, right? So I will move to which statement? No yellow feathers. Now no yellow feathers says that you have to move towards key number two, right? I have to move towards key number two. Is that so, Vanya?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so key number two says beak is red. If beak is red, so you have to go to three. And if beak is gray, then that's a babbler. In this case, the beak is red, right? If the beak is red, I have to go to key number three. If it has a straight beak, then it is a kingfisher. And if it has a curved beak, then it's a hornbill. Now it has a curved beak, right? Its beak is like this. So it's a curved beak. Now I've got that what it is. It is a hornbill, right? So in this case, I have identified that it's a hornbill. You got it? Or
Yes, ma'am.
still not? If you have any confusion, please ask me. So we are good to go.
Yes.
Okay, now we have identified that the first image we have is of hornbill. Now we have to move towards this image number two. Now this image number two is, now we have to start from the same keys, has yellow feathers. If it has yellow feathers, then it's a weaver. In this case, does it has a yellow feather? No, it doesn't have a yellow feather. Then we would move to no yellow feathers. Now, no yellow feathers says that you have to go to two. In this case, if its beak is red, then you have to go to three. And if its beak is gray, then you have to move towards no other option than it's a babbler. So its beak is red, right? It does have a red beak here, right? If it has a red beak, then that means I have to go towards three. In this case, the three says that if it has a straight beak, then it's a kingfisher. If it has a curved beak, that is a hornbill. But in this case, its beak is not curved, it's a straight beak. And with a straight beak, we can say that it's a kingfisher. You got it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I hope you're getting now. Uh, do we have other students in the class? Not yet. Okay. Now we knew that this B is kingfisher. Now we have to move towards the C image. Now C image for first key we know that it has yellow feather. If it has yellow feather, then it's a weaver. Yeah, it has a yellow feather, right? We don't have to move forward. We straight away know that it's a weaver, right? For image number four, that's the D image. That says has yellow feather. It doesn't have yellow feather. So no yellow feathers, then we have to move towards 2, key number 2. If its beak is red, go to 3. And if its beak is gray, then that's a babbler. In this case, you can see its beak is gray, right? Gray beak means that it's a babbler. Got it? So that's how by using different keys that are present in in this image, you can find out what this bird, like this bird belongs to which species. So that was all about this example. Then we have another example that is of vertebrate class. Now we don't have images for this, but you can just identify it in this way, that if it is cold blooded, then you have to move towards 2. 2 says that if it has fins but no limbs, that means it's a fish. But if it has 4 limbs, that means you have to go towards 3. When you when you have this 3 key, this says that if it has no scales on body, then it's an amphibian. And if it does have scales, then it is a reptile. While in other case, if your animal was warm blooded, that means you have to go to 4. In 4, if it has feathers, then that's a bird. And if it has fur, then that's a mammal. Right? So it's quite easy. Do you think it's the same?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Please keep on telling me side by side that I can't go back to the Zoom window again and again, right? Now, this is an identification plan that is similar to this dichotomous key. For example, C. If you have any organism, you have to say, is it a unicellular? If it is unicellular, then you have to see that has it a nuclear membrane. If it has a nuclear membrane, then it is a protoctista. If it doesn't have one, then that's a prokaryote. What if that organism was not a unicellular organism? Then you have to see that does it have a hyphae or cells? If it has cells, then you have to see do the cells have cell walls and chloroplast? If yes, then they are plants. If no, then they are animals. And if that organism have hyphae, then that means it's a fungi. It's quite simple as well, right? Now we have to see the inhabitants of a compost heap. In this case, you again have to identify some invertebrates, right? If those invertebrate, any of the invertebrate has legs, then you have to move towards key number 2. In key number 2, if it has more than 6 legs, that means you have to move towards key number 3. Key number 3 would tell you if it's short, flattened gray body, then that's a woodlouse. And if it has a long brown yellow body, then that's a centipede. What if that invertebrate doesn't have a leg? Then you have to move towards key number 5. In that case, if its body is segmented, then it's a It's an earthworm. And if its body is not segmented, then you have to move towards 6. That means that if it has a shell, that's a snail. And if it has no shell, then that's a slug, right?
Right, ma'am.
Okay. I hope that was clear. Now, these dichotomous keys could be used for other purposes as well. For example, here I have a dichotomous key that is used for the identification of laboratory glassware, right? Here you see that you have 4 or 5 laboratory glassware. First says that has it got a pouring spout? If that's yes, you have to move towards 2. In the key number 2, they are asking you that has it got a broad base? If it has a broad base, then that's a beaker. This one. If it doesn't have a broad base, then that's a measuring cylinder. What if it doesn't have a pouring spout at that time? So if it's not, then you have to move towards 3. 3 key says that has it got straight sides for the whole of its length? If yes, then that's a boiling tube. And if no, then you have to move towards 4. Now, 4 key says ask you that has it got sloping sides? If yes, then that's a conical flask. If no, then that's a round bottomed flask, right? So that was a dichotomous key for identifying laboratory glass. You got it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I hope that was clear. And let me have a look that do we have other students in the class or yes, Mepsam, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, Mepsam, I had to start the class. I'm so sorry I couldn't wait for you, but this is a recorded lecture and I've recorded whatever I have taught,
Yes, ma'am.
right?
I've studied that. I studied the keys yesterday. I know.
Okay, that's great. You can revise them from the recording as well. Inshallah, I'll share the that drive with you today. Inshallah. Okay, so we have 4 students today. Okay, then we have to proceed to our next topic that is classification and evolutionary relationships. So, in this topic, actually, we have to understand the relationship between classification and evolutionary relationships. So, it is easy to understand evolutionary relationships today due to the classification, right? Now we will understand this thing with the help of this example that is vertebrates and their similar limb structure. Now we know that all vertebrates, what are vertebrates? These vertebrates have a backbone, right? They have a skull that is to protect their brain, and then they have jaws that is usually with teeth, right? Okay. These are the 3 important features of vertebrates, right? What are the important 3 features of vertebrates? That they have backbone, they have skull, and they have jaws as well. Now we have to see that there's an interesting fact about that. The front limbs of different vertebrates. Now, different vertebrates do have front limbs. Some have them in the form of arms, some have them in the form of wings, while other have them in the form of flippers, right? But all those things are considered to be their front limbs. And those different vertebrates could be bats, humans, lizards, birds, whales. Now, the fact is that even though the limbs are used for different things, like, for example, flying, swimming, running, all have the same basic pattern of bones, right? Now, what is that basic pattern of bones? Let me tell you. I'll first explain that to you and then I'll show you that with the help of an images, right? Now, the basic pattern of bones is that all these vertebrates have one upper arm bone that is called as the humerus, right? The upper arm bone that is called as the humerus, that is with the ball and socket joint at the shoulder. So you could easily move your arm in various directions. Then you have two forearm bones, that is the radius and the ulna. That is with the hinge joint at the elbow. Could you feel your arms, right? You can feel these bones, right, while I'm telling you. Then you have a group of small wrist bones, right? And then the fourth pattern is that you have five sets of bone in the hands or fingers, right? And they may be missing or altered in case of birds. Now, we'll have a look at these structures. For example, the first one is this pattern of bone in human forelimbs. So you can see this upper arm bone is called as the humerus, right? It's one bone. Then you have two bones in your forearms that is called as radius and ulna. Then you have group of small bones in your wrist, and then you have these group of five bones arranged in a chain that are making your hand and fingers, right? I think that is this pattern is very familiar to you, right? When we talk about lizard, right? Lizards have, this is the pattern for lizards. You can see that they have humerus. The lizards also have radius and ulna. Then they have wrist and they have those five group of bones as well, right? If we move towards the bird, now birds also have humerus. They also have radius and ulna. Then that's the wrist of birds, right? If we move towards the whale, now whales also have a humerus. They also have radius and ulna. Then these are the wrist bones, and these are the group of those five bones. Now, if we talk about the bat, now you can see that bats also have humerus. They have radius and ulna as well. They have wrist and group of those five bones as well. Is that clear to you, everyone? Fahad, Mipsam, and Ganya.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So what I was trying to convey over here, that all, like, these are different vertebrates, right? But they do have similar pattern of bones in their front limb. Now this front limb is only one example, right? One example out of all the bones, and that is this. Now, as we have studied about the patterns of bone, the question arises that what does this show about evolution? Actually, it does show that if all the animals were not related, it is strange that they do have similar limb structures, right? Why do they have similar limb structures if they are not related to each other? Now, that's not a strong evidence. They do have some common ancestor, and that ancestor would be having a basic limb skeleton. And over the time, the structures change slightly in different animals depending upon how they used, right? For example, bats and birds have wings. Flippers are in whales, hands in humans. So all do have similar bone structure, but they are using them for different purposes. This depicts that they must have some common ancestor, right? Is that clear, class?
Yes.
Okay. Then there's another example about pangolins and armadillos. Now, there are here we have these two animals. One is the pangolin and the other one is the armadillo. This bottom one is the armadillo, right? And this is the pangolin. Now, there's a problem with this, that they both of them look similar. Could you see that both of them, they do look similar to each other, right? Is it?
Yes, their skin is a little,
Yeah,
their skin looks
they
similar.
do have a similar kind of body. Okay, they look very similar. Both of them, they have hard armor-like bodies, right? And scientists know that they are not closely related. Like in case of bones, by looking at the bones, we concluded that all of these vertebrates might be having a common ancestor. But in case of armadillo and pangolin, we couldn't say that they must have arose from a common ancestor. Why is that so? Because this is a case of convergent evolution. Now, what is convergent evolution? That both of these organisms They have evolved similar features separately. That is not because of a common ancestor. So their appearances might be misleading, right? Due to many reasons, some organisms can have similar characteristics to other organisms by chance. That doesn't mean that they are going to have a common ancestor as well, right? Okay. So while understanding classification through pangolin and armadillos, scientists they use classification to group animals based on their features and evolutionary history, right? That means if two organisms they share common ancestor, they are classified in one group. If they are not having a common ancestor, then they would be classified into two different groups. Although we can see that these two organisms they look same, right? They have quite similar bodies, but they do not share a common ancestor. That is why they are not grouped into a similar class, right? Is that clear, class?
Yes.
Okay, now we can see their features as well. For example, in case of pangolin, or pangolin body is covered in scales that is made up of keratin. Now, keratin is a protein that is also found in our nails of human, right? While armadillos, they have a covered, the body is covered in bony plates, right? And that is serving as armor-like structure. For teeth, we know that pangolins, they have no teeth, while armadillo, they have small teeth and they're not covered in enamel. For tongue, we know that they have the pangolin has a long tongue that is used to eat ants and termites, while armadillos that feeds insects and grubs. In case of pangolin, uh, for protection they roll into a tight ball when threatened by a predator. While in case of armadillo, it has some species of armadillo they can roll into a ball-like structure. If we talk about the claws of pangolin, they have long, curved claws for tearing open termite and ant mounds. While armadillo, they have shorter, blunt claws for digging burrows and searching soil for the insects. Right? So that is how they differentiate from each other. Is that clear? Any question till here?
No, ma'am.
From all three of you, if any one of you have any question, please do ask me right away.
Ma'am, they are in the same class, right?
What?
The pangolin and armadillos are in the same class, right?
I couldn't hear you properly.
Ma'am,
Pangolin and armadillos are?
yeah, are they in the same class?
Okay, so your question is that are pangolin and armadillos in the same class?
Yes.
Yes, both of them have the same class that is, yeah, they belong to mammals.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, their order is different.
Yeah, their order is different.
Okay.
And apart from that, yeah. So that is how they are similar in appearance, but they do not share a common ancestor. That is what is of importance over here. Then we have to see that you have to like how do scientists use DNA sequencing in classification. We know that this DNA it is present in all living things, right? And okay. Okay, DNA is present in all living things, and it is a chemical that carries genetic information, and that is made up of bases that is A, T, C, G. And these bases are arranged in specific sequence, and that sequence controls how proteins are made in the body. Now, each species has a unique DNA sequence and specific number of chromosomes that makes each species identifiable and different from the others. Now we have to see that why is DNA sequencing useful in classification. Sometimes we know that species they may look similar, uh, if we talk about the appearance and their internal structure, but that is possible
Ma'am,
that their DNA, yes, yes, who is that?
ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, even in the same species, each organism has a different DNA, right?
Yeah, there are like DNA of one, even in same species, yeah, you and me would be having different DNA sequence, right? DNA
Okay,
sequence is
ma'am.
never the same. That is like, for example, your thumbprints, they are also different. The fingerprints that you have in your fingers, right? They are very different. They are distinct from each other. And yeah, DNA sequence of one individual couldn't match with any other individual in the same species. So, yeah, I was talking that sometimes species may look similar if we talk about appearance and internal structure, but their DNA must be different. And scientists use these DNA sequences to get more accurate understanding of how organisms are related. What does it helps that these DNA sequencing, it helps to classify species correctly. Then it discovers how closely or distantly related they are, and it helps to study their evolutionary history as well. For example, if in case of humans and primates, okay, in the past humans were placed in a separate group from other apes based on how they look. Now, the DNA evidence shows that humans and chimpanzees have only 1.2 difference in their DNA, right? That means humans and chimpanzees are very closely related, right? While humans and gorillas, they have 1.6% difference, difference in their DNA. While humans and orangutans have 3.1% difference, this means that humans are more closely related to chimpanzees than to gorillas or orangutans. You can see that humans and chimpanzees they only have 1.2% difference in their DNA. That means that humans and chimpanzees are more closely related, right? And if we talk about bonobos and chimpanzees, now these bonobos and chimpanzees, they live in Zaire, Congo region, right? They look very similar and were only identified as separate species in 1929. They do look very similar with each other. So both have the same percentage DNA difference from humans, right? Both have same percentage DNA difference from humans. That show that how DNA helps us to understand even the subtle differences that are present. Here you have an image of image and chromosomal information about orangutan. They do look like this, and they have 48 chromosomes. Gorillas look like this and they have 48 chromosomes. Then that's chimpanzee, that is 40, that is also with 48 chromosomes. Bonobo also have 48 chromosomes, while we here are the humans that have 46 pair of chromosomes. So chimpanzees and humans they are more closely related to each other with only 1.6% DNA difference, right?
Yes.
Here's an image that is for classification of primates based on their DNA evidence. Could anyone tell me that what does this image indicate? Any one of you? Okay, let me tell you. Here on the
Ma'am,
y-axis,
it,
yes, who wants to tell?
nothing.
Okay. So here on the y-axis, we have time, or that is in millions of years, right? On x-axis, we have these this tree. Actually, it's a
Ma'am,
phylogenetic tree. Yes,
ma'am, so is it about like the one on the bottom that was the common ancestor to everybody?
yes,
Then, as time went on, it got extinct, and then there was common ancestor between uh, two other primates, and then that also got extinct,
very
and
good.
then it like continues.
Yes, actually, your common ancestor has to extend, and then that is going to branch into further categories. What it does indicate that this each line represents a group or species of primates, right? Now, where lines split, now this is called as node, right? In a phylogenetic tree, this part is called as a node. And now this node indicates that here that was a common ancestor between these groups, right? The labels like common ancestor now extend, they indicate that these shared ancestors are no longer alive today, right? And what else? For example, if we take an example of this part, that was approximately 6 to 7 million years ago. A common ancestor gave rise to these multiple primates group, right? And now this ancestor is extinct. So as that is already labeled over here. So that is all about this image. We call these kind of images or these kinds of graph as phylogenetic trees, right?
Ma'am, is it because it's all of these ancestors are of the same phylum?
Just wait a minute.